Hello everybody and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's a rare one on a Saturday, the 8th of April 2023. My name is Kerry Holzman. Thanks for joining me today. And yes, the thumbnail should give everything away. I don't know what the heck to make of this motherboard I purchased. I went on to AliExpress and I saw these motherboards. And they're sort of this weird Frankenstein mixture of like engineering samples of Intel processors on motherboards that are designed to go into micro ATX cases, but it's a laptop style chip, which usually uses SODIMM memory, but they're using regular DDR4. The whole thing doesn't make any sense, but it was cheap. And I thought, I'll give it a shot. So I ordered it on AliExpress only to have my order immediately canceled, which I thought was really bizarre. So I said, well, just not meant to be. I'm not going to do this again. And a couple weeks went by and I thought, oh, the heck with it. I'm really, really curious. So I ordered it again. This time the order was not canceled and it arrived in 10 days from China. I ordered packages from New Hampshire, the other side of the country. They've taken 11, 12 days to get here. So this thing entered and left customs in the US in the same day, in one day. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm impressed. Now, what's interesting is anytime you order one of these motherboards, it appears that the listing gets canceled immediately after you buy it. So even though it's the same seller, the listing, here's what I'm guessing is happening. I'm guessing that these are engineering samples or are being produced against the licensing agreement with Intel. I'm guessing all of this, okay? So much like eBay doesn't allow the sale of software, you can look on eBay for copies of Windows and Office, but the minute you buy them, that seller is banned. That account is closed. So you'll notice all the sellers typically don't have any feedback, and all they do is they recreate another account, and they recreate another listing. So this is what this reminds me of. Like they're breaking some kind of AliExpress rule. And there is a lot of dangerous stuff on AliExpress. There's a lot of scam items. 30 terabyte SSD external drive doesn't exist, but they'll sell you one, and good luck trying to get it returned. Now, AliExpress does have a 15-day fraud protection, but listen, I'm not putting anything into AliExpress that I can't afford to lose. And I don't recommend you do either. AliExpress is a bit like a mystery bag. It's a bit of gambling. And if you can't afford to lose what you're gambling, don't gamble. So I have a link to this seller, not to this exact product because it keeps getting canceled. But these products have been available for months. All they do is you just have to keep searching for them. Anytime a YouTube content creator puts a link to what they purchased, it'll say this item is no longer available. But it's really super easy to find it. I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Now, I've laid out the parts I think I'm going to need. All I've done is I've removed the motherboard from the box and I've not powered it on. I don't know. It's going to need some items that I can predict it's going to need pretty easily, but I have those items here. Apart from that, I have no idea what's going to happen. You know the rules. Everything is live. Everything is shot in one take. There is no rehearsal, and there's very little prep. I don't have time for that. It's almost like you're having a real conversation in real life with somebody, right? Sometimes people misspeak. Sometimes people get the information mixed up or just plain out wrong. That's what I do here. I'm having a real conversation with real people. I'm not putting on a show in the traditional sense that people have been brainwashed to expect. If you are brainwashed to expect that, you will not like my videos. There's lots of others to choose from because I don't want to deal with people harassing me because of their failure to understand what I'm providing. Their failure to understand it does not mean what I'm providing doesn't have value to those who do. So if you don't get it, that's fine. We'll continue without you. In the meantime, if you're sticking around and you enjoy hanging out in a real life situation with real people who are not scripted and have real conversations, the likes of which you probably only have in your life, you likely do not do live presentations in front of a large audience. So this should be very familiar to you, what I'm about to do. And this is the style of my videos. I like to keep everything genuine, authentic, real, sincere, and honest. So, okay. With that being said, let me say hello to all my friends in blue joining us in the chat room. The video is opened up for everybody today who wants to join. So if you're in white, if you're new here, and you see all those names in blue, that's nothing to be intimidated by. These are regulars at the channel that are very friendly and supportive individuals. Please say hello. And I hope if you choose to come back and join us in future videos, that your name in the chat room will become familiar to me and I will turn you blue. That's all it takes. Some of the blue names have little gold badges with a number. Those are members of the channel. These are people that pay to help support the channel so that I can afford to buy these items rather than doing the typical big YouTube tech channel commercial making and infomercial making. All those big million-plus subscriber YouTube channels make commercials, and they're disguised as reviews. If you enjoy watching commercials, they're polished and scripted and have manufacturer approval and they're paid handsomely for it, you're not going to find that here. If I accept a sponsorship, it's from a product I actually use in my real life business that I actually go out and work on computers. I don't just make YouTube videos about how to do it and then never actually do it. That's what those big tech channels do. In fact, most of them have never, ever worked as a tech. And that's okay if they want to be entertainers, if they want to be media personalities, just understand what you're watching. So I'm going to come in. I'm not going to be as polished as those guys. I'm a tech who's doing this on the side. I'm not a YouTuber who's doing some tech on the side. And furthermore, I'm paid and held accountable and responsible and liable for the work I do. They are not. So that's the difference. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just a difference. And I would just want you to be aware of the content you're watching. Who's paying for it? Those people in blue with the gold badges next to their name, you can thank them for my content because it's because of them that I can do videos like this. Clearly, Earling, or whatever this company's name is not paying me to make this video. And there's nothing in it for me other than just the sheer joy and bewilderment of what the heck this thing is. And since we're going to show this all close up, we're going to put Camera Girl to work. So let's go ahead and get Camera Girl set up here. In the meantime, hello to Garfield Rupe, Darren Gilholm. Hello to Mark Baggett and Nick Poverman. Hello to Planet Cryos and William Rainey and Alaj Tepej. Hello to Brian Woodley and Tom Orgatini. Alaj says, that is the Intel Core 000 motherboard stream. That's a better title. Maybe I should switch the title. Before we switch to the second camera, the close-up camera, let me go over to the AliExpress page. I want to show you the description of the board. I'm going to show you what I bought. I have to search for it because the product keeps moving. Every time somebody buys one, you have to find it again. Let's go to, let's see, window capture on OBS, and I will select my Chrome browser as my window capture. It will activate that and turn off camera 1. Here we go. So here's the AliExpress homepage. And I'm just going to type in the motherboard manufacturer name, E-R-Y-I-N-G. How do you say that?
Earring.
Earring?
Earring.
Like an earring?
Earring. Yeah.
Earring?
Earring.
How about earring?
Earring.
Anyway. All right, so we're going to see a number of different boards. The price differences are going to be the different processors that are on them. I paid about $141 for this board, so it's clearly not these two. It might be more similar to this one right here. This one's 148. This is the 11th gen Core i5 CPU 0000. It's a 1.8 gigahertz processor, saying it's equivalent to an 11400H. I can't remember which one I bought. So we'll run CPU-Z on it and we'll see, but there's a number of different pictures. And you'll see CPU-Z even shows the processor exactly as that model 0000. So that suggests it's an engineering sample, but how many engineering samples does Intel make? This doesn't make much sense to me unless somebody is continuing to manufacture them without the consent of Intel. And they'll give you all kinds of warnings here about things that may not work properly because, Well, let's just face it, this wasn't designed to be used in this manner. So they're going to tell you right ahead of time that Hyper-V problem does not appear in Linux, only in Windows. Virtualization, say there's compatibility issues, no one can handle it. BIOS update suggestions they're not easy for them to change any BIOS. It says, about their RAM, if you're not sure about other RAM compatibility, buy ours. And it also says something along the lines of, if you're not a PC technician, don't buy this product if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, they're pretty forward about not wanting to deal with tutoring people. Oh, this one has 1 5-star review. And clearly these reviews on AliExpress, I don't know. I don't know that I trust them, but as long as you're willing to accept all of the potential issues, you can save a lot of money, especially if they're things that you're not going to use anyway. I'm not using Hyper-V. I don't care. Let's see. Anyway, you can read more about it in this link, and you can see all the different makes and models of the motherboard. Like this one's at 215, so this one's going to have probably an i9. Oh, that's an i7, so they still go up from there. 193, 134. Oh, that's probably the one I bought. I just paid too much for it by $7. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I see a lot of them are being offered by a seller called the Chipset Store. What I find fascinating is that the link gets removed, or the page gets removed, but the seller remains the same as the Chipset Store. I don't understand what's going on at AliExpress. It is a dangerous place to buy from, and I say dangerous in a way that I mean that you could get a defective product, a non-working product, or a completely fake, fraudulent copycat product that doesn't work as advertised. And it may be very difficult for you to get any sort of refund or to have any potential recourse for that. So I would suggest that you look at this more as entertainment, not as an investment. If you're looking for a money-saving opportunity to have a second computer that doesn't matter to you, something you're going to use as an entertainment PC or offer to the kids, you could have a lot of fun with this if it works out. I don't know. We're about to find out. Let's go to the close-up camera. Activate now. There you go. Come on in. Hi, close-up camera. Too close. So, okay, so here's the board. Earring. That's how you spell it. Get that. This is an MATX gaming motherboard. I think the video card is bigger than this. There's the back of the box. Not a whole lot of I/O on the back, but enough. Right, when we look down here, got a couple of USBs, got a couple HDMIs, a display port, 2 USB 2s, gigabit Ethernet, USB 3, and then pretty basic sound output there. Stereo sound, not going to be surround. In the box, it came with our top quality I/O shield made out of oh, I don't know. Let me think what that could have been made from. Those cans have to go somewhere. We have a single SATA cable and some thermal compound. Hey, that's nice they included thermal compound. And then we have an owner's manual here, which is only offered in English. So when I order the stuff in America, it comes in 7 languages. When I order it from China, it's only in English. That's the American way right there. All right, let's just throw that back in the box. Of course, the motherboard was in the box, which I have already removed, and I have right here. Check this out. So the CPU is covered because that's a laptop CPU. So they put this plate on it. Underneath this plate is the thermal compound already applied. And what they want you to do is put your own thermal compound on here and use like a socket 1151 cooler, which I have left over from an old Intel build. And that'll just line up on there with some thermal compound, and we'll put that in place, okay? We don't need much, we shouldn't need much for cooling on this. because it's not a high TDP processor. Now, what's interesting is the laptop processor. We've got 2 slots for regular DDR4. We also have an M.2 slot right here. Notice the CMOS battery is missing. Let's take care of that right now. I've got extra batteries laying around here. Now, as you'll notice, I'm not handling these products or these parts with the kind of care you typically see me use, because this is like a Fisher-Price toy. I don't care if I get fingerprints on the battery and it's going to affect the life of it, or if I get oils on the... And I'm not even going to wipe it down with a Q-tip, because the thermal compound still works. It's just, it works maybe a percentage better if it's completely clean, and the battery will last a bit longer if it's, you know, doesn't have the oils from your skin on it. But this is a toy. It's a very inexpensive experiment, and you know, if it lasts a long time, it lasts a long time, whatever. As we come around here, let's see, we've got our 24-pin standard desktop power, 4 SATA ports here. As we go around, we've got a CPU fan header, we've got our 8-pin CPU power connector, the aforementioned I/O matching the picture we looked at earlier. As we come around this way, we have another M.2 slot, and underneath that there's an M2 style Wi-Fi spot. If you want to put a laptop style Wi-Fi adapter in here, that would go underneath your second M.2 drive. So we have 2 M.2 storage slots, as well as a single slot used for laptop Wi-Fi, which again, you could just plug in USB Wi-Fi if you wanted that, or you could use this other little slot right here. A lot of the Wi-Fi internal cards only need that little buy one. Is that a buy one or buy 4? I can't remember what this is, but anyway, you'll notice the connector will be super small on those. So that's an ideal use for that. This down here, this is your USB 3 header for your case. We've got another fan plug there. Come around here, this is our front I/O for a power switch, reset switch, power LED, hard drive LED. This is really freaking weird, very weird. And then what's all this over here? What are these connectors? These are audio, front port audio, COM1, which would be like a serial port. That's a fan. These 2 are USB 2, and then that's USB 3. That 4-pin right there is for an external speaker to get your beeps and your blips. These 2 pins right here, that's to clear your CMOS. And then the screws are included, thank goodness, for the M.2, because I find those screws can be very difficult to get. And then up here, as I mentioned, we've got our CPU fan. That's the 4-pin fan. And then we have just a 3-pin system header fan. Fan header for just a case fan. Down here, this little chip right here with a little crab on it, that's your sound chip. And then this little chip right there, I think that's the network chip. I can't really read it. And this little chip right here, this one says ITE. Where's my glasses? Oh, I'm wearing them. That's not good. What does that say? Hold on, let me fix this problem. Well, one of them is going to be the sound. I'm sure that's the sound. One of them is going to be the network adapter. And that little tiny one right there, I can't even read it with a magnifying glass. But nonetheless, it's all pretty much what you would see on a typical desktop motherboard, except it's got a laptop processor, which is just bizarre. I want to see what this thing will do. Please understand, you're likely not going to get any BIOS updates on this. Some of the stuff in the BIOS, even the post screen that comes up, may have stuff written in Mandarin or Cantonese. You're not going to be able to change that. There may be some options in the BIOS you want that aren't there. You will not be able to change that. This is just a toy. It's a gimmick. It's a I feel sorry for anybody who has to buy one of these and rely on it, because that's just bad decision making. Like if you were starting a business and you didn't have a lot of money to start the business with, this would not be the way to do it, in my opinion. I wouldn't do it that way. Somehow I have gone full screen over here, and I don't know what I did, but what have I done? There it is. Okay. I lost my OBS was taking up the whole screen, and I lost the chat room. There's the chat back. All right. Thank goodness. Now, before I start plugging things in, questions? Sarge Tech says, what the Polestar is that? Yeah, if you look down here, it says, right here, it's a Polestar, which is apparently some kind of electric Volvo. Joseph's in the chat says hello. Paul wants to know, is it true the camera girl is an IT genius? She likes to think so. Sari in the chat says it's a cute little board. It's absolutely cute in the same way that a child's Tonka toy is cute, or a little Lego car is cute. Martin says the battery is considered hazardous materials and they need extra paperwork to ship, which is likely why the battery was not included, that little button cell battery. Yeah, I agree. That's probably why. Glenn's Music said that's the most elaborate fly swatter I've ever seen. Could be a fly zapper. We'll have to see if it's well grounded. Russell Starr in the chat says hello. Nick Poverman wants to know if we're going to nickname this whole system Sparky after we're done here. Maybe. Might be a good name for it. I don't think it's going to be electrically dangerous. I just think there may be potential compatibility issues. I mean, it should be able to run Windows 10 or 11, but that lack of control in the BIOS has me a little bit concerned. If we leave everything at defaults and we don't try to do anything outside of the common, we'll probably be okay. Alhaj says that back I/O plate is made from the finest materials from China. Well, that's pretty much everything we buy here in America. Let's see. Buns of Wisdom says hello, welcome in. Jason Wyrick says, I bought a board from AliExpress once a few years ago and I'm still using it to this day. But yes, it's very sketchy. Sketchy is a good word for this, because I don't want to say it's terrible. I don't know that yet, but it's very sketchy. Sketchy can be okay if you're okay with sketchy. All right, let's put it together. What do we do first? I guess I'll put the cooler on first. So let's get that out of the way. I'll grab their thermal compound. Let's take this out of here. Once again, the typical usage of, cleaning the top of this is something I do on boards that, cost money, because every little bit can help. But in a case like this, I don't think this board is going to get much help from a little bit. It's going to get help from a lot. And I'm not going to invest a lot into it because that wouldn't make any sense. There is a wrapper around that I have to figure out how to take off. This could be the hardest part of the build right here. If you look closely at that, there's a plastic wrap on it, and I don't see like a perforation to tear it. This is high P13. That's the stuff all the enthusiasts want for overclocking. Made by Helmsai. www.helmsai.net. Thermal conductive thermal paste. Huh. Okay. I think they just picked up some mud from outside. I suspect. Yeah, it might be good. I've never heard of this company, so for all I know, they make Arctic silver. Sometimes you're better off not knowing how the hot dog is made or how the sausage is made. Because when you find out that some of this sketchy stuff is actually the manufacturer of the stuff you swear by, aren't you going to feel like a fool? All right, that's good enough. There's that. Darn OCD. It's getting the best of me here today. All right. I'm going to throw this away because that's going to get lost on the carpet. All right. So we're all going to put some thermal compound on. We're going to put this old CPU cooler on there. The hard part of this build is now behind us. Everything else is easy. So we'll just put some of this glip glop on there. Oh, that's the whole tube. That is way too much. I don't care. We're going to use the whole tube because I'm never going to use that again. I absolutely got my 2 cents worth out of that. And look, this is clean enough. I don't care if I'm getting my oils from my skin on it. Let's go this way so the cable can run the shortest distance. I'm not even going to spread the thermal compound out. Nope, not going to do it. Let's see, I got to twist in the opposite direction of the arrows. This thing has been sitting around for a long time. I didn't put it back to the install position. I think that's right. Is that right? Can't see the arrow on that one. Oh yeah, that's correct. Opposite corners. Okay, we've mashed it down and plugged the header in right there. So far, so good. We'll open up the RAM sockets. I've got two 8 gig sticks here of some really inexpensive Team Group. You know what? It's inexpensive. It's preferred. I actually like this memory better than the more expensive stuff. Put one in there. And we'll put one in there. Bada boom, bada bing. Over here, we've got a brand new Crucial P5. Now, I will never put anything important on a Crucial drive, at least not without backing up religiously. Of the bad SSDs I've seen, Crucial's made up the majority of them, so I'm not a fan of the reliability on Crucial's SSDs. And that may just be my anecdotal experience, but that's enough to put me out of business. So that's not a gamble I'm going to continue to take. These drives were purchased for basically to be used in giveaways. Okay, that's going to go in right there. And I need a little screwdriver. I just got this Phillips number 0 off of eBay the other day. Let's see if it works on these tiny screws. Ooh, that's almost as good as a JIS driver. It's pretty darn close. Phillips number 0. Didn't even know they made them in a number 0. I thought it was 1, 2, and 3. But it's not magnetized. Let me grab my JIS driver. Here we go. And yeah, that screw fits better in the JIS. Okay. We're done. We built computer. I build computer good. All right. Fire bad. I'm gonna grab just a regular old testing power supply. You guys have seen this one in action. Oh, if it could tell stories. Interestingly, the clips are gonna go towards the inside. That's unusual. And then these clips always goes towards the outside on the big motherboard connector here. You seeing that? You getting it? All right, and then we just need a power switch over here. Power switch. Here we go. I'll use my RGB power switch to just give it a little more character. So power LED should go here. I'm not even reading it. I'm just going to assume, I mean, what could go wrong if I assume that they're in the standard positions of every other front port header. And that would mean that the LEDs go on there and the switch goes on right beside them. That should be right. Now I need to give a power cable to the power supply, and we need to put HDMI cable. Oh, I need a keyboard and a mouse. We'll use my standard keyboard and mouse here, right here. Turn these on. I'll use a USB 2 port since the USB 3 port is faster, but it won't actually result in me typing any faster. I've tried, it doesn't work that way. So I'm not gonna waste a USB 3 port on a keyboard and a mouse adapter. Now, if you'll step back, camera girl, you're standing on my cables. All right. Where's this? This goes here, this goes over here. Okay, HDMI, that'll go, either one of these will work. So HDMI, keyboard, power, oh, I need power here. Power, just like this. Okay, flip that on. We should be ready to test fire this bad boy. And I have Windows 10 or Windows 11 that we can put on there. But first, let's just see if it boots, because if it doesn't boot, it's not like I'm going to send it back. Actually, I will go through AliExpress's, you have 15 days from the day you receive the item to issue a request for, I don't know, cancellation or replacement. I'm not sure how that works. If this doesn't boot, I'm going to try it and I'll report back. I suspect this is going to boot because computer motherboards today they're all kind of built the same by machines. So whether it's a cheap knockoff or a real one, apart from the BIOS and the support of it, it's likely going to have the same reliability. Likely. But regardless of how reliable something might be, it still doesn't mean it's immune from or exempt from failure. And if you're unlucky enough to experience that, you're not going to get any support from this. So when you do pay more to get an official product, that's going to come with support should something bad happen. But it's not likely these days. Typically, if something's bad, you're going to find out right out of the box when it comes to electrical items like this. But there are exceptions, but they are not normal. All right, camera girl, you want to hit the button and, oh, wait. I gotta, let's minimize, no, hold on a minute. Let's go back to camera 1. Okay, now you can take a break. Actually, no, you know what? Don't go too far. I'm changing my mind. That's close-up camera. Yeah, leave that on. And let's do it this way. Let's go up here like this. You stay close by. And you want to turn it on? Come on, you can do it. Uh-oh. Now, we've got a CPU fan spinning. And we're going to get the close-up camera in here in a second. I just want to see if we get a post screen. There's not much to see here. The fan is spinning. There's no lights on the board. And the RGB on the power switch is blinking. Now you see the fan here just stopped, started up again. That's normal. That's a normal BIOS routine as it trains the RAM. And resets the BIOS accordingly for the timings of the RAM, and it should already know the CPU, but there it is. There it is. There's our Chinese writing there on the screen. And it looks like it's going to reboot one more time. All of this I would consider normal part of a brand new PC build. So far, it's behaving in the same way I would expect. Just in case you were wondering, that is normal. Alhej said, I will call it the horror PC. Okay, now we have an error on the screen, probably about, oh, I don't even know what's going on now. I get a shell. What does this say, UEFI shell? Oh, that's kind of cool. I wish I got that on a regular motherboard. Okay, let's go back to the close-up camera here momentarily and get a close-up of what that board. Get down on here, if you would, and take a look at everything that's going on here, including our RGB power switch. I got this off Amazon. What a deal. You know these wire cutters you see me use? Now these are Italian made, but there's the cutters that look just like this on AliExpress. 5 of these. It comes in a kit of 5 for like $4. I didn't realize how much profit is built into this stuff, but they look identical. I'm not ordering them because I'm not that cheap. I will pay for the good cutters, but you know what? Cutters might be cutters, and you could absolutely break them and throw them away and not feel like you really lost much, but about 50 cents. Okay, so yeah, Windows 10 or Windows 11, that's the vote I'm taking in the chat right here. Everybody wants Windows 11. No, we're fair. Windows 10, Windows 10, Windows 11. Windows 11's in the lead. The only correct offerings are 10 or 11. Anything other than 10 or 11 is invalid, and you are going to be ignored. Sincerely looking for 10 or 11. We have an abundance of Windows 11. So Windows 11 it is. The decision's been made. All right, so we're going to come around. We're going to come around to this port here. I can't see anything right here. Well, you should try working backwards. Oh, okay. Okay. Now we'll go back to camera 1 and you can turn off camera 2. And we'll go back to HDMI input, which for some reason I have moved. Okay, you're good. You can turn that off. I'll hit Control-Alt-Delete over here on this keyboard, which should reset this, and it should automatically now boot to the Windows 11 installation media. If you want to know where I got that Windows 11 media and how I did it legally and for free, just look at my other videos. You can make them for free from Microsoft directly. They have a media creation tool for Windows 10 or Windows 11 that allows you to install the free trial. You can run Windows 10 or 11 indefinitely without activating it. You just won't be able to make some personalization changes, and you'll get a watermark constantly annoying you to activate your product. Other than that, it fully works. And if you want a cheap Windows key that's legitimate and real, look at the video notes below the video, because I've worked out an arrangement with the folks at VIP CDK Deals, who are offering you guys an additional 30% off. Then they're already screamingly low prices for Windows and Office. And the keys are guaranteed to work. That guarantee is good for the 30 days of support they're going to offer you if you have any problems. So please don't hoard the keys and then try and use them in months, and then somebody steals it or something bad happens that you don't know anything about, and then you blame them. It's a big nightmarish mess that says scammer all over it from your side of things. When you need a key, buy a key. If you have any problems with that key, which you should not, the key's guaranteed to activate online without calling Microsoft for Windows or Office. The Windows key stays tied to your motherboard. You're not going to move it. If you ever have to change your motherboard, plan on buying a new key. Microsoft Office only activates when you install it. So unless you tie it to an online Microsoft account and you have to reinstall it, you will need a new key again. Microsoft Office keys don't work the same as Windows keys. You could avoid both scenarios by simply making an image backup of your computer using software like Acronis, for example. Once you have everything installed and activated, all you'd have to do is restore your image, which is faster, and it restores the activations provided you haven't changed your motherboard. Okay, I've said it, it's done. Links are in the video notes. You want to save money? It's there, it's guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. I personally will, if you have any problems, like if you have an issue and their customer support does not resolve it, you reach out to me and I guarantee it'll get resolved. 100% guaranteed. Okay, so there's peace of mind. You're not going to get that peace of mind from buying from AliExpress. Okay, all right, let me continue on what I was doing here. So let's kick off this install. But yes, if I'm going to activate this Windows 11, I'm going to go on AliExpress and I'm going to buy a Windows 10 key. The Windows 11 keys cost more, but a Windows 10 key activates Windows 11, just so you know. Oh, if you have some Windows 7 Pro keys or Windows 7 Home keys laying around, those will activate 10 and 11 as well. One time, they will only do it once, and then that stays tied to that motherboard forever. Okay, I'm going to click here. I don't have a product key. There's a reason why Microsoft has that option, folks. So everything here is on the up and up. It's all legit. We're going to choose Windows 11 Pro. I'm going to hit Next. It should see that crucial drive that I've installed after I click on the license agreement. I always choose Custom. There's our crucial drive. I hit Next, and off it goes, partitioning, formatting, and copying over the Windows installation files. So while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Jim KJ3N says, if you're still using Windows 7, the stream is going to stop working come 2024. Everything's going to stop. Already things have already stopped working on Windows 7. The people who refuse to move forward with it are just fooling themselves. Okay, why would anyone chance using Windows 7? Morton wants to know. Because they think that consequences don't apply to them, because something bad hasn't happened yet, and therefore something bad won't. Why should I look both ways when I cross the street? I never do, and I've never been hit by a car. That's the logic they're using. Or it's also possible they have a legitimate reason where factories or businesses are paying Microsoft typically in the six-figure dollar range per year or per multi-year contract for isolated support for their Windows 7, but even that has a deadline. Ooh, that thing's already done? Holy cow. We're off to a good start. Remove the USB. Okay, let's remove the USB. We don't need that anymore. Carrie, do you work with servers? I do not work with... Here's what I do with servers. I shut them down and I move my customers over to network attached storage and server alternatives that don't require the expense and maintenance of servers. If a client absolutely has to have a server, they'll need to find somebody else for that. If they want to segment out their support so that they have one person or one company doing the servers and me doing everything else, that's not a good idea, but I'm open to it for those clients. Generally, it's best to have all your eggs in one basket when it comes to IT support so that you don't have to call different people for different problems or there's no finger pointing. You make one phone call and it gets done. All the clients I have now used to have servers, but they do not have servers anymore. Am I missing anything over here? Let's see. Let me see. Oh. Excellent. Okay. Is it going to reboot or what's going on? Oh, there it goes. When I was looking away, did it just do the whole second part of the install in that brief? Did it seriously just do that, or was it just rebooting that whole time? I guess I'm about to find out if it asked me for my username at this point. You will notice I don't have the internet plugged in because I don't want it to force me to create an online account. Nothing wrong with having an online account. I just don't want one, especially if I'm building computers and setting them up for customers. I don't need them having my online account in their cache or history. So I don't use it. Paul Garrett said, my mechanics have a wheel alignment machine that still runs on a floppy disk. You can still buy USB floppy disk drives on Amazon. I don't think they're selling very well. I'm sure you could pick one up cheap. David Rivera says, hello, Carrie and chat. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Terry in the chat says, hello. Oh, recovery. Already? How did we get into recovery? What have I missed? Let me go full screen because I can't really read it. This is getting interesting. Just ignore that and restart. I don't know what that's all about. We're just going to reboot, see if it goes away. Joseph mentions the command, the OOBE bypass NRO. That's all that is a registry entry. That's all that is. And yes, I've demonstrated that on the channel at least 3 times in the past. Okay, let's see if it's going to boot correctly this time. I don't know what that was all about. Now I wish I was paying attention instead of looking at my phone. Uh-oh. Why are you going to have no signals? Are we starting again? It's restarting again. That's bizarre. Okay, well, I always like to double check, so we're consistently getting this error for some reason. Let's try advanced repair. You should never have to repair a new install. Troubleshoot. Troubleshoot. Reset. Remove everything. Local reinstall. Now, it's possible that my RAM is not compatible. Remember, they did say, be sure your RAM is compatible. This is how you would reset Windows 10 or Windows 11. There's never any need to wipe and reinstall, or let me rephrase. It's very, very unusual to have to do that these days. And when I hear people tell me they had a computer problem that required them to completely reinstall Windows 10 or 11, I cringe and I go, no, just do that. There are exceptions, but more times than not, if you're in a position where you feel like you need to reinstall, you should be doing it through the automation process built into Windows. Even if you can't get into Windows, sometimes you can get into safe mode. And if you can't get into safe mode, ideally, you would restore from your image backup. It's faster, it's more complete, it puts everything back the way it was, and it'll take, 8 minutes of your time instead of an hour and a half of reinstalling, putting your drivers back on, doing all your Windows updates, reapplying your activations. What a hassle. So, yeah, let's see what happens here. So this is going to do the reinstall. I've got another set of RAM I'm going to try because my first suspicion is it doesn't like the RAM. That's what I think is happening here. When you're going to tinker around with this bargain basement stuff, you're going to encounter problems, almost guaranteed. If you don't want to encounter problems, if you don't find them fun and challenging, if what you're really trying to do is save a few bucks to get the same thing, you are likely not getting the same thing. This is an industry where you truly do get what you pay for. If you're of a technical mindset and you can provide your own support and you see this as a fun little project, have fun. But if you're going to rely on this in a business and you just can't afford a good computer for your business and you think this is a cheaper option, you're wrong. And you should respect your own business better than that. Because if that's the kind of money you're investing in your business, if I was a customer, what would convince me that I should put my money into your business to give you the work? So you sort of reap what you sow, you get what you give kind of a thing. You sort of manifest or create exactly what you're going to get in return. Generally speaking, that's been my experience in life. This is a fun little project box, but these problems are not insurmountable. We haven't necessarily reached a problem where the board is dead or the board is bad. I do believe it's a RAM compatibility issue, but I just want to give it one last chance to reinstall itself, because if it's consistent, then I think we have a communications problem via the RAM to the chip. And that's likely a compatibility issue with the RAM. That would be adapted for in the BIOS, but since there's not going to be any BIOS updates, we have to be the ones who adapt to the BIOS. That's what happens when you buy this cheap stuff. And you should expect nothing less. Otherwise, you're just delusional and likely going to be very disappointed. I don't want you to be disappointed. I want you to know exactly what to expect when I show you anything, whether I'm selling it, promoting it, or just having fun. I want you to absolutely know what my frame of mind is and what my expectations are. So as we're always well-grounded, and we'll have a good experience regardless. I don't like to be blindsided. And I'm assuming you don't like it either. So we'll go off that premise. Jim KJ3N in the chat says, what we got here is a failure to communicate. That is, I do believe what the problem is. Yes, that is very well said. Thank you. Very well said. Chris R said, I've got a 6750 XT GPU that runs 78 degrees on a hotspot in GPU-Z. Who cares? What's wrong with 78 degrees? That's not a problem. That's well within normal operating temperature. There's nothing there to fix. Thomas MacT suggests that Windows 11 doesn't work. I think it should. Windows 10 or Windows 11 should work. I think it's a RAM problem. You could be right. I just skimmed all of the disclaimers. I think it should run Windows 11 okay, though. If it runs Windows 10, it should run Windows 11. And generally speaking, of course. But it looks like, what I'm seeing on the screen there, looks like it keeps repeating itself, like it's stuck on something. The number does seem to be climbing. It's just not staying on the screen. We're at 30% now. 31. I'll give it a couple minutes. I could have removed the USB too soon. No, once Windows copies over, on that first reboot that happens, Windows copies over all the files it needs to do the install locally. It doesn't use the USB after the first reboot. I mean, I could have left it in, but. Did I do a BIOS update? There is no BIOS update. There never will be a BIOS update. With regards to Windows 11 requirements, they're not being enforced at this time. You can install Windows 11 on non-compatible hardware. Whether or not, this does have TPM built into this chip, yes. All chips, all CPUs have TPM built into them from Generation 7 Intel forward. So you don't need a physical TPM. We have basically what's a software TPM, just like there's hardware RAID and software RAID. This whole TPM fascination on the internet, I find it psychologically fascinating at the simple-mindedness of people's lack of understanding and making statements instead of asking questions. So because this is an engineering sample, likely, I can't imagine they would have removed or not enabled TPM, since that's been a staple in all CPUs since 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. Yeah, including AMD, starting from Not the first generation of Ryzen, but everything after that. And Doman mentions checking the BIOS settings. Yeah, I haven't even gone into the BIOS. I could have just checked the BIOS to default it back to standards. This looks like RAM to me, based on I've seen a lot of computer problems in my time. This is not unusual for RAM to cause this. And I'm not telling you, I know for a fact it's RAM. But I'm telling you from my experience, what I believe the problem is a RAM compatibility issue. So this doesn't look like we're really getting anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for a moment. And I want to try one thing, and that is to solve any sort of concerns that people have about Windows 11 and TPM and compatibility. Let's try Windows 10, because if it's a RAM issue, Windows 10 should not install either. So we'll do the same thing. Ooh, this board is a little toasty. It's a little bit toasty. Let's see what happens. Am I on or off? I'm impatient, apparently. It's like I'm working on it. Let me go over here and hit what, F10 maybe? Is it F10? I don't know what it's going to be. How do we get to the boot menu? Hello, computer. Not getting any video out of it this time. Let me shut it off. Count to 10. Turn it back on. From the time I hit the button until the time it started, it was like 6 seconds. That's off-putting. There we go. We hit delete a bunch of times to see we get that BIOS. There we go. That is an old school BIOS. Let's take a look in there. And let's see, I'm going to go full screen over here so eyes can see it. Let's take a look. What is this thing saying? Well, the BIOS is fairly new. It's not even a year old. There's our genuine Intel 0000. It's good to know. Memory speed. That could be a problem. Whoa, we got a lot of stuff going on in here. Okay, let's just do this. Let's say boot option number 1 should be the USB device. Yeah. And then boot option number 2 will be the Windows Boot Manager. And then let's disable that. Let's disable that. Let's disable that. Let's disable that. All right, I'm going to limit its choices now. I do want to restore default. Let's restore defaults first, and let me go back to my boot options. Let's change this again. Should have done this in a different order. Oops, that's what I want. I am curious about the 3200 speed on the RAM. That very much could be a problem. It's almost like they're requiring 3200 speed. Okay, let's just leave that as is. Save changes and reset. And then we should boot now to the Windows 10 flash drive. And we'll see what happens now. Hey, Winston Liu has renewed his membership. Been a member now for 10 months. Right on, Winston. He says there are 1.3 billion people who live and speak Mandarin Chinese and read and write simplified Chinese. All the other type of Chinese used is traditional Chinese. I only know of Mandarin and Cantonese. I don't know of a Chinese, but you know, I'm not educated in that way. So let's take a look here, full screen. We're going to do this again, this time with Windows 10. We're going to say install now. We're going to delete the partitions that were made. If you ever want to wipe and reinstall Windows, you always want to do it the right way, which is completely remove all the partitions off the drive. This is going to be Windows 10 Pro. And I'm just curious if this will install properly. So let's do agree to the license agreement, and we're going to choose a custom, always a custom install. We're going to delete these 4 partitions. Oops. I'm hitting the space bar, which is defaulting to cancel. There, I thought I was doing it faster. I'd have to hit the tab key and then the space bar. That's too much work. So we'll just continue to just use the mouse. Now the drive has been reset to the way it was when it was brand new out of the package. And once again, we'll do the partition creation, the formatting, and copy the Windows files over. And let's see what happens. If this fails, I'm sure it's the RAM. Not that there's anything wrong with the RAM, but they did specify on the AliExpress page about how finicky it was with RAM. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said anything about it. Clearly, they're getting enough support requests that things aren't working, that it's getting under their skin. And they're like, listen, they're effectively saying, look, you dumb American. They're not actually saying it, but you can tell that's kind of what they're saying. To the point that, you know, they've had to update the listing to include it. Let me get my Gatorade because my tiny Coke is about done. And yeah, if you have any questions while we're waiting, this is a good time to interact. What are your thoughts? Is this something you would buy? And if it is, what would you use it for? Would you find something like this fun and a challenge to get it up and running? Or would this just be a nightmarish and unnecessary added stress to your already stressful life? Oh, it's going to keep booting to USB. Thank you. So yes, I'm going to just shut it off. Assuming it's going to shut off. We'll hold the power button in. Remember I said after the first boot, we don't need the USB anymore. So now I'm going to pull the USB out and we'll turn it back on. Now there's no USB to boot to. It's going to go right to the storage drive. Zen Carter says, I don't want to make it sound wrong, but I hope this fails because you'll be a step closer in narrowing the cause. If it installs successfully, I would be at a total loss why Windows 11 wouldn't install. Yeah, agreed. It's part of the diagnostic procedure, especially when we're dealing with unfamiliar hardware, and especially unfamiliar hardware of suspicious origin, meaning you bought it off eBay, or you bought it from Craigslist, or you bought it off some AliExpress seller. You just don't know what you're getting, and you don't have the support infrastructure of a brand name being sold through an authorized retailer, right? So that's the peace of mind I keep referring to, and what I require for any seller that's going to promote anything on my page. All those links in my video notes that are to like Windows keys, RoboForm, instant house call, remote support software, Acronis, These are all legit companies that absolutely are going to give you peace of mind. I'm shutting this off because it's not booting for some reason. Turn it back on and it just fired up. I didn't even have to hit the power button. And let's see if it posts this time. There it goes. Glenn's Music said you wouldn't like to be relying on this. Granted, yeah, because if there's anything that goes wrong, regardless if it goes wrong because of a power spike on your end, or if it goes wrong because of a bad memory module that you put in, you're just not going to get any support. Okay, so finally, the Windows 10 installation is allowing us to continue now that I've removed the USB flash drive, because remember, I wanted the flash drive to boot first without having to press any keys. So we go through the same process, right? It's all US keyboard layout. I don't have internet. Continue with limited setup, which is essentially telling it you don't have internet twice. We didn't even get this far in Windows 11, did we? I turn off everything but location settings, and this can all be switched around in the settings of Windows, so the end user can change the way I set it, but I set it the way my customers have democratically voted their wishes. So that's how it gets done for everybody. Because I want to reduce support calls. I don't want to be harassed with, simple little silly things like, how do I get rid of this advertising or whatever, or I don't know, whatever it is. I like to deal with actual problems and not tutoring people. Tutoring people takes a lot more time and a lot more patience. And therefore, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to charge a lot more money. I do tutor people here on YouTube, but I'm not tutoring one-on-one. I'm tutoring the world. And that's far more efficient than trying to have this conversation with each one of you watching live right now individually. Take me a lot longer. And I would probably seem very bored with myself repeating myself 373 times. Or however many people are watching. How many are out there? 450. We have 450 viewers. All right. You think this is going to work? Place your bets. Raj D wants to know, do I use the personal RoboForm or business? If I had employees, I would use the business. But because I'm my only employee, I use the personal. Okay, so Windows 10 worked perfectly, right? And if we look at, let's see, let's go over to full screen for me, and let me grab my utilities flash drive, utilities. Let's go over here to utilities, let's plug that in. This is really inconvenient, guys. Making videos for you guys is totally inconvenient if we're being a tech. Just want you to know that. Let's see, let's go over here. And we'll go here, here. Let's throw VLC on it, why not? I'm gonna just go through my normal routine. Yep. Let's grab Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer right there. And let's see, we want Crystal Disk Mark and CPU Z. Should I do it? Should I do it? Yeah, let's run Cinebench on it. Why not? Okay. Good, because I don't have the internet plugged in. And optimizer. Let's get it started. Here we go, folks. Those access denied errors are just turning off indexing and files that are in use. So that's normal, nothing unusual happening now. And we'll restart. And while it's restarting, I'm going to go ahead and pull the USB drive out. And I wanted to try to boot to that. Let's see how long it takes to boot. This is about the second or third time I've tried to restart this where it doesn't want to post. And in order to make it post, I have to shut it off and then turn it back on again. Obviously, that would not be acceptable if this was a typical new build that I'm building for a customer. But if you were to buy this and turn it on and leave it on, I suppose you'd only have to reboot once a week or so, especially if there's Windows updates. So it's not like you'd have to deal with that every day if you didn't want to. And it still could be related to the RAM. Maybe having a difficult time communicating with the RAM. I'm still on the fence about that. I'm still very suspicious. Still no post. No post. So I'm going to shut it off and leave it off for about 30 seconds. Let those capacitors drain. Sometimes it helps if you hit the power button to help drain any residual power from any capacitors on the board. VRMs are warm. They are warm, even though it's not a high wattage TDP on this processor. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, here we go. So the please wait in this recovery, that implies it was trying to start when we weren't getting video, that it was loading. But because I don't have a hard drive LED hooked up, I can't see anything happening. But it just wasn't sending a video signal out. And that's certainly what it appears like it was doing, because we had just did a normal restart. So let's try one more time and see what happens here. It's a good sign. Okay. Okay, I want to see what temps we're looking at. Let's run the HW info program and let's see what it says. I mean, it's fine. We're in the 40 degrees Celsius range. I don't see any problem with that. What does this show? 60. Oh, that's until we have 67 degrees away from thermal throttle. So that's the opposite number. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let's go to Crystal Disk Mark and let's see what kind of numbers we're going to get out of the SSD. Were we going to hit 3600? Or are we going to be in the 3000 range on this, or what? Yeah, those are good numbers. David suggests maybe it doesn't like me. Most computers do not like me because they know I'm not afraid to smash them with hammers. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to be their friend. You know where this board could be really useful? If we were building a battle bot. Because, you know, you're putting it in the ring to go up against another robot with the goal being to destroy the other robot, and its goal is to destroy you. And so after each BattleBot fight, you have to rebuild your robot, and you wouldn't want to put really expensive parts in it. Something like that, very inexpensive, disposable motherboard would be ideal for the kind of technology they use when they send like bots into Chernobyl to test radiation levels and do cleanups. That's your board right there. Because then when they die, it's not a big financial loss. You just build another one and send it out. BattleBots do not use x86. Mine would. Brian wants to know, as a tech, has there ever been a PC or tech problem you had to walk away from? No, there have been customer problems I've had to walk away from. There's never been a PC issue that couldn't be fixed. But there are customers that can't be fixed, or that I'm not willing to put in the labor and time to fix them. But no, there's no such thing as a computer that can't be fixed. Never seen it. Raspberry Pi would be cheaper for a BattleBot. Well, it depends what you want your BattleBot to do, man. I'm telling you, I could do something pretty amazing with a board like this and a big 250-pound BattleBot. I think this is a good BattleBot motherboard. I think so. Because it could be destroyed and you wouldn't care. And you could make your BattleBot do stuff so much faster.
We should totally do that.
I'm saying you could totally outpace.
Do that.
Maybe they don't allow it, but I just think that would be cool.
Yeah.
You could have a plethora of weapons and different things it could do. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, the SSD speeds are running normal. 3,300 and change on the sequential read and 2,900 and change on the sequential writes on a bargain basement Crucial P5 500 gig $40 drive. Yeah, I mean, that's good. I was afraid that the data transfer speeds on this might be limited as a result of its low price point, but looks good. John Williams wants to know if it'd function better if the drivers were installed. Oh, indubitably, it would. Do we want to sit here all day and wait for that, though? I mean, we can. I've emphasized in recent broadcasts how important it is not only that you get all the latest drivers, but all those latest Windows updates. They exist for a reason. And one of the reasons is, of course, performance, reliability, and, of course, there's security. So that's 3 reasons. But performance is one of those 3. And it's not really fair to test the board. When you ever watch these reviewers and they're unboxing, particularly a motherboard, and they start testing it, it's just not a fair test if you don't have all the updates put on. But I'm sort of wading into the water a toe at a time before I go all in on it. Because I don't want to do all the updates only to wipe it and try Windows 11 again, right? So I'm trying to make up my mind how I want to proceed. Piter says you can put a video card in that motherboard. Yes, you can. That's why it's a gaming motherboard. You have a PCI Express slot with a powerful enough power supply. It'll work as a gaming PC. Really cheap one. Easy Otter says, I bought the Mini Air 11 from Geekom. It's in a 11th gen Intel Celeron for $159. Super cheap. How long have you had it? Or did you just buy it and you haven't received it yet? Pat Kennedy said, if I bought one of these motherboards, I'd put Windows Vista on it and see what happens. I don't know. It's much too modern for Windows Vista. You should go on Craigslist. You could get a much better deal for a Windows Vista computer, probably cheaper than this. All right, there's our final numbers. Everything looks good on those numbers. I don't see anything unusual or unexpected there. Mike Candon contributes $10 via Super Chat. He says, hello, I haven't been here in a while. Well, welcome back, Mike, and thanks for supporting the channel. Okay, that looks good. Let's, we'll plug the internet in, and there's going to be a ton of updates, you guys. But let's see what happens. Plug in the internet, and we'll make sure that the driver is installed. I imagine if we go in the device manager, we're going to see some items that are not loaded with drivers. I imagine. Let's see how accurate my imagination is here. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff that doesn't have drivers installed. However, it does appear that the network driver is installed, which is good because that's how we can get all the other drivers. Once you have your network driver, everything else is easy. So we'll go ahead and check for updates there and let that run. I always get rid of these icons because they bug me. Get rid of that one and get rid of that one. And I don't like this weather, news and info, news and interest. We're going to turn that off. Okay. And I don't want notifications either. Let's turn notifications off on here. Turn off and then go back to where we were. Yeah. Okay. Elko says, from what I can see on the earring official store at AliExpress, they have a Windows 11 Intel laptop CPU, so Windows 11 should be able to install on it. Isn't that what I said? Okay. I realize you may not have been here earlier, or you may not have heard what I said earlier. This is weird to me when people repeat back what I say as though I didn't say it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the info, but it's just weird. How would you respond? I don't know. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Oh, great. It's nice to meet me. I mean, it's nice to meet you too. It's nice to meet you. Thanks. We already did this, didn't we? At some point, it just gets weird. All right. Elko says, sorry, I just joined in. See, that's what happens. It occurs to me that people may not have been here from the beginning. So that sort of answers my, like, I get confused. But then that explains it. So, all right. Appreciate that. Makes me feel better. I would rather you just joined than you weren't listening. I was here, but I wasn't really here. Yeah. M. Cochran joins us. Says, good to see everyone. Welcome in. Disney wants to know if it would take the upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 10. We could find out. I don't know. We've got probably about an hour. So I will end this broadcast. Well, what are we? We're an hour and a half into it. I'm not going to go more than 2.5 hours. So we have about an hour, maybe a little bit less than an hour. Once we hit the 2-hour point, I will try to gently ease my way to a close, which could take 10 or 15 minutes, okay? But that's sort of my my goal in every video is to try and keep them around 2 hours. It does get a bit intimidating when people look at a past video and it's 5 or 6 hours long, even 4 hours long. People are like, I don't even want to start that. Who's got time for that? But, you know, if it were me, I'd just skip through it to find the parts I'm interested in. And in time, Google should chapter each thing anyway. So that happens automatically in time. But hey, these videos are really primarily for the people participating in live chat so we can interact with each other. Tej says, hello from London in the UK. I fixed my PC today. My PSU went out. Yes, power supplies are a very common reason why computers won't start. And it's a very easy job to do once you realize that's what the problem is. So congrats. Good job. Darren Belmore says, hello. Welcome in, Darren. Patrick Rousseau said, what is for dinner tonight? I don't know.
Fancy.
Fancy dinner tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere nice?
Mm-hmm.
Red Lobster it is.
No.
I don't know many people that go to Red Lobster for the lobster. They go for the Cheddar Bay biscuits. Shouldn't it be Cheddar Bay Biscuit Restaurant? Wouldn't you name the restaurant after your biggest, most popular item? Olive Garden should just be Free Breadsticks Restaurant. It's just truth in advertising. Taco Bell could just be Dysentery Bell. I don't know. Just ideas. I think perhaps Chipotle could be Test Your Luck Restaurant. Luke Greenia says, dinner, you say? I had homemade mac and cheese and burgers on the grill. How do you get the mac and cheese to balance on the grill? It always falls through the little slots. You know, the refried beans do the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how you get them to not fall through the slots. Perfect balance on the grill. Patrick Russo says, all you can eat shrimp and cheese biscuits. Who wants to eat a shrimp and cheese biscuit? That sounds disgusting. Hey, things are moving on the updates. Luke Greenia says it's called tinfoil, Carrie. Tinfoil? What do you live in, 1890? Isn't it aluminum foil? When's the last time you've ever seen? Have you ever seen tinfoil in your life? Pretty sure it's aluminum foil. No, it's platinum foil. This is my new titanium foil. I always give people a hard time about that. Why do people say tinfoil? It hasn't been made out of tin. Huh?
In New York, we called it tinfoil.
People called it tinfoil, but it's like they learned it from their parents. It's aluminum foil.
It's tinfoil.
What, or do we call anything else what it's not? Carrie's a genius. Hey, I like it. Tin cans. I don't think they make cans out of tin. They're aluminum.
Used to be tinfoil.
Or as the British say, aluminium. Got to add the extra I. They add an extra vowel. They don't just pronounce it differently, they spell it differently. Winston Liu contributes $2.20 Canadian. He says, Shanghaiese barbecue pork and rice for dinner. There you go. I guess we're all talking about our dinner. Joe says he's having leftover chicken casserole with cornbread. Do you live in the South, Joe? Matthew Burden said, I'm sitting at my desk right now downloading an Acronis backup. That would be uploading, right? You're not creating a backup, you're restoring. You're going this way and not that way. Because I broke my CAD software when upgrading, wish me luck. Oh, you'll be fine. If it's Acronis, you'll be fine. Darren Belmore says, yes, Carrie, in Ireland we use tinfoil. Are you sure? Does it actually say on the box tinfoil? It might say it's thin foil and they don't pronounce their H's in Ireland. Thanks for the tinfoil. See, that's Ireland. Well, don't pronounce our H's. I don't know. They don't, no H's in Ireland. They're ignored. Marsman says he's going to have ketchup and eggs at Denny's. When you put ketchup on it, isn't everything just ketchup at that point? You could have ketchup and then anything else, and you're basically eating ketchup. We've had this discussion.
Fries are just the excuse to use ketchup.
Yeah, fries are just ketchup delivery devices. They're ketchup delivery sticks. You put ketchup on anything, it tastes like ketchup. These fish sticks are great when you put ketchup on them. That's because you made them taste like ketchup. You should try my shoe. That's disgusting. Not if you put ketchup on it. Yeah, it's not bad. Ketchup doesn't make food taste better. Ketchup makes food taste like ketchup.
I'll try that with salsa.
Duncan says, it's tinfoil in England too. We don't want to read the box. We listen to our parents.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kids today. Duncan says, tin is very expensive. And isn't it cancer causing if you have food in it for a long time? Isn't it a carcinogen? It can rust or it can, I don't remember what the health concerns were, but I thought it was more than just a financial thing, but I could be mistaken. That's happened once or twice before. Scott Hellenen's got a birthday. Happy birthday to Scott Hellenen. Say happy birthday to Scott, everybody. Darren Belmore says, Carrie, we use H's. How dare you? I don't think so. Alan in the chat says tinfoil was superseded after World War II by cheaper and more durable aluminum foil. Well, there we go. Thank you, Professor Holmes. Oh, my eyes are getting bad. I got to get a screen, I think right about here with the chat room. And then I'll look over here instead of looking out there. Mark Gossman says he's eating cottage cheese with applesauce for COVID recovery. It's not, shouldn't upset the stomach, yeah. Hope you feel better soon.
Sounds like a strange combination.
Soft food. Linda Hudson says, Carrie, thanks for answering my question yesterday about mini computer. I appreciate it. Well, you're welcome. Appreciate you asking the question. I love the participation in the chat room. Patrick says he uses a cast iron skillet, but you probably don't put tin or aluminum in it. Darren says it's actually called kitchen foil. We call it tin foil. Yeah, kitchen foil is what they call it in England as well. Interesting. Don't use the kitchen foil outside of the kitchen. Sean Gallagher said he built an AMD 7000. Right on, Sean. David Nation Sr. in the chat says Microsoft reminded its customers today of the impending Windows 10 21 H2 end of service on June 13th. Yeah, you should be running 22 H2. It's free. There's no reason not to. Do I still use Malwarebytes? That's what Young T wants to know in the chat. Yes, I still use Malwarebytes, the paid version. And that's all I'm using along with the free Windows antivirus. Hugh says, get a bigger screen so you don't have to squint. Do you know what size screen I'm using now? I could just make the font bigger. Why don't I just do that? I've had an issue when I make the font too big, everything gets kind of chopped off. I don't get all of my information on the screen that I used to get, or that I'm accustomed to seeing, I should say. But I just think having a smaller screen near me would be a lot more convenient for reading the chat room. Yeah, I've made the chat too big now. I can't fit OBS on there at the same time. We'll go down one notch and see if that works better. I think that'll be okay. Yeah, it should be fine. All right, let me go back to my full screen so I can see what these updates are doing. Where did my screen go? Hello, computer. Thinking it just went to sleep, so I'm moving the mouse. I should have went into the power settings and changed it to not turn the screen off after 3 hours. It defaults at like 5 or 10 minutes. And this thing can be a little bit slow to respond. So before I go too crazy with restarting it, I want to give it a second to wake up. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what that was all about. It's still maybe installing something. I can't really tell, but that's not normal. So we'll shut it off. Everything should be fine. Use the portable screen I showed yesterday. I could, but then the problem is I have to come off of this computer back over here and then put the portable screen over there. And then I can tell Windows what to put on screen 1 and screen 2, which is fine. The downside is, oh, this is interesting. The downside is I would almost prefer like a tablet. Actually, I don't know. So if I'm going to reply to the chat room, it's nice to just have the one keyboard and mouse. If I have a laptop or a tablet, laptop's going to take up too much room. Then I have to intentionally go use that keyboard and mouse to reply in the chat. If I have a tablet, I wouldn't type on the screen. I would just keep it there, and it can run independently on its own internet connection without having the cables and the wires. You know, it can run off the battery, so it takes up less room on the desk. It's less messy. I've given this a lot of thought. I could put a second monitor below this one over here, but then it's still too far away. On the other hand, I could make the font as big as I want it and just separate them out. But I got to run another cable and configure monitor 1 and monitor 2. I'm just going to have to try something and see what happens, I guess. But I'm thinking tablet. I can get a tablet cheap. I just need it to have the YouTube app on it.
You got it.
Winston Liu contributes $5.50 Canadian. Carrie, time to use the Canadian version of Windows 10 Pro. I don't know what that means.
Everything says eh.
Does it apologize to me? Sorry. Sorry. It boots, it crashes, it goes, sorry. I don't know. I don't know what it means.
Words in French.
Yeah, that could be too. That would be the Quebec, the Montreal version. Yeah. Martin Hogg says, ooh, this is exciting, better than trying to sleep in the UK. All right. Well, this will definitely put you to sleep. If you're having trouble falling asleep, you've come to the right place. That is, we're crashing every time we try to boot now. I have an idea. Hanover, I have an angle. What movie is that from? Somebody, I know the answer to that. I just want to see if anybody else. Hanover, I said I have an angle. All right, someone's Googling that right now, probably. I'll show him.
That was a great movie.
It was a weird movie.
That was.
Don Bluth lives here in Scottsdale.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He's got a studio in Scottsdale. I tried getting him to come on the show, but he doesn't respond to my emails. Guess I'm just not popular enough. So I'll just play Dragon's Lair and appreciate his work from afar. I think the last one he did was Terra, and it didn't do well. I think it was called Terra. And that just about put him out of business. That was a make or break.
Yeah, it's a great game.
No, I'm talking about the movie, the animation.
I didn't know there was a movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. It just didn't do well. Train Buff 26 with a $5 super chat says, I worked retail for 2.5 years selling consumer electronics. So I'd love to hear your worst customer stories. Oh, well, you can go back in my video history and there's plenty of them I share. Tech Tales, if you search for Tech Tales on my channel. What did I do with my video? Oh, I made myself full screen so I can't see. Yeah, well, it's only 3:25. We're good for another 35 minutes. It's fine. Let's see. Is it going to boot? It may not like this Corsair RAM either. Don't worry, I have more RAM. I'll just keep trying different RAM until we get some life out of it. I will patiently wait, though, for the BIOS to attempt to train the memory. Computer says no. Yes, the movie was heavy metal. Gary Tatum and Mike Carden got that correct. As did Jeffrey Oldham and Brian Woodley. All right, guys. Oh, Titan AE, not Terra. Thank you for the correction, Joe. Titan AE was the name of the animated movie that was like a make it or break it thing for his production studio. And it was actually not a bad movie. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Boy, I'm just not having... They were serious on the AliExpress website when they said, you've got to make sure your RAM is compatible. And if you're not sure, buy RAM from us. They weren't just trying to sell RAM. I'm coming to that conclusion right now. Let's just take one stick out and see if it's a dual channel issue. Oh. Surely they have a list of compatible RAM on their website. Not that I'm aware of, and please don't call me Shirley. One RAM stick is working. Oh, well, we're back to that again. Well, now that we have a damaged file, here's the problem. We now don't know if the damaged file was caused through the RAM incompatibility or if there's a driver incompatibility through Windows Update. So I think we have time just to install Windows 11 and see what happens, and we're going to leave it be at that. Maybe another day, we'll spend another 2 hours of wasted time on this bargain-saving motherboard from AliExpress. Look at the money I saved. I could have taken this $150 and put it in the trash can and saved 4 hours of time. Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, but it made for a great thumbnail.
You did a great job on the thumbnail. Yeah. Hence my facial expressions. I don't know what this is. See, aren't you glad I set it to boot to USB? Because look what it did. See, sometimes, sometimes I know what I'm doing. That's really convenient. Okay, next, install. I don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro. Accept the license agreement. Custom install. delete all the existing partitions. I just want to hit the space bar and it's not going to work. Arrow to the left in space bar. D, arrow to the, is it D? I'm hitting delete, but it's going, I don't know why it's doing that. All right, I'm just going to use the mouse. I don't care. Delete. Okay, next. There it goes. Off it goes. All right, well, this is all very deja vu. I think this should be the deja vu motherboard because you're going to be repeating the same thing over and over trying to get it to work. And then maybe, just maybe you will get it to work and then just leave it alone and try it like a Jenga game. Try not to knock over the blocks. You know, it's very, very fragile. Starshine says they should sell this as a learning tool. Buy this and become a PC tech by learning how to make it work. If you can make this work, that is a great educational experience on how to fix and diagnose and fix a computer. Winston Liu contributes again, $2.20 Canadian. He says, we have a Tim Horton restaurant in Canada. Yes, well, they have Tim Hortons along the United States that border Canada, like Michigan has Tim Hortons. I, for one, I don't really watch sports, certainly not hockey, but I understand Tim Horton was a very popular hockey player. The last hockey player I know from Canada is Wayne Gretzky, so I've been out of touch with the sport for a while. Are we rebooting? What is it doing now? I can't tell. I have no idea what's happening right now. Chris McGraw says, I work in a Tim Horton restaurant. Well, there you go. You know who doesn't work in a Tim Horton restaurant? Tim Horton. See, that's where the money is. Money's on the name. Jim says, stick a fork in it. It's done. I don't know what it's doing. What's going on right now? It's very weird. I'm still thinking this is RAM. So I'm going to try, I've got another RAM module here. Let's use the expensive RAM. Yeah. Let's go high-end G-Skill Royal Z, super pricey. This is really, really good RAM. This RAM cost as much as the motherboard did. So we're going to use this shiny.
It's beautiful.
It's shiny.
Beautiful and sparkly.
Shiny RAM. That makes it work better.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of the US. Let's get rid of the Ethernet because I don't want it forcing an account on me. We're going to take out the cheap Corsair RAM and we'll put in the cost more than the motherboard RAM. Because after all, your motherboard should be the cheapest part of your system. And if you don't know what sarcasm is, you can Google that. I know, it needs RGB. That's the problem. That'll fix it every time.
Well, the power button.
RGB is not a waste of money. I bet you it installs. Now that we have RGB, it'll probably work just fine now.
The power button.
My RGB is not lit up. Oh, there it goes. Whew. All right.
Look, it matches.
You should get the close-up camera and show everybody at home how beautiful RGB is on this really, really expensive stick of RAM, because you should totally put $1,000 worth of tires on your $200 car. Heck, you should throw hubcaps on your lawnmower while you're at it. That'll make it work better. You ready?
Yep.
Let's go to camera 2. Oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me quickly go through this. We'll do, yes, yes. Don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro. Next. Accept the license agreement. Next, custom. Oh, we only got 3 partitions that time. That implies it was not in UEFI mode. Interesting. Very interesting. Delete, delete. Next. All right, let's see what happens. Well, that's installing. Yeah, let's go to camera 2. Yeah, come over here and take a look at that. Look at that shiny RAM. Closer, closer, closer. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you gotta focus on the unicorn puke. And then here's our failures. These are the losers. Just not good enough. You're not good enough, and you're not good enough because you don't have RGB. Yeah, so go back over here. Look at this. And then, there you go. So shiny. System like this got to have RGB.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, when it crashes, it's much more pretty. All right, I'm going to go back to camera 1 and the HDMI input. Looks like we're getting ready on our first boot. You can shut off camera 2. Thank you. Now, of course, it's going to want to boot to this USB drive because of my boot order. So I'm going to shut this off before it does that. And then I'm going to pull my flash drive out, turn it back on. When I flip the switch on the power supply, the motherboard comes back on just as you saw it do. That means I didn't really leave it off long enough for all the capacitors to drain. And that's my impatience. I've seen that with boards, typically cheaper boards, but it's not uncommon. Let's see if we can actually get a Windows 11 install completed. Because if we can do that, I'm going to say, hey, good ending for the video. And if we can't, well, it'll be a cliffhanger for another video at a future point when I'm in this mood to be Sisyphus as I futilely struggle to try and get this thing to work. And Joshua says it best in the chat, now it will crash beautifully. Indeed. So because I have switched it off and back on again so quickly without allowing the capacitors to drain, it's not even posting correctly. So I'm going to just completely shut it off. That should be fine. I can hit the power button just to drain any power reserves. Try it again. I mean, that does bother me. I hit that power button. Now, it just now started up. That's a weird delay. Nothing still. So that means 10 seconds wasn't long enough. We'll shut it off. And we'll wait 20, 30 seconds. Russell Starr says you got to warm up the squirrel cage. Get it to nutty. Yeah, well, it might work at that. One, 2, 3, 4. So 4 seconds after I hit the power button, the CPU fan starts to spin. When the RAM lights up right there, that means it's now posted in the BIOS, and now we've got video. Now, will Windows 11 continue to install, or will we crash? Oh, place your bets, everybody. Place your bets. We've got a new error message this time. This is what I like about this board. It's never boring. There's always some new error it can present you with you've never seen before. The computer restarted unexpectedly. Yes, I'm aware of that. I don't know what proper response to say other. There shouldn't be an OK button. It should just say duh. What's the point in telling me that? You think I wasn't here when it happened? All right, that's all right. That's a Windows thing. Okay, yeah, we've been through this before, computer. You're just repeating yourself. All right, so what do you think? Should I become an authorized reseller of these boards? How many of you would like to buy one? I can make you a really good deal. Yeah. If you're masochistic and you like pain and suffering, this is the board for you. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the amount of frustration you will experience because you wanted to save $20. Now, I mean, the savings is more than $20, but not in your time. Starshine wants to know, what is this magic RAM AliExpress insists on then? It's just some RAM that meets the requirements of the board. This RAM should exceed the requirements, and yet we're still having some issue here. Windows 11 just does not want to install. There could be a setting in the BIOS to be adjusted. Planet Cryos with a $2 contribution said, I'd order one of those motherboards and then 20 additional boards for donor parts. Thomas Mac T says, you can keep it. Joe says, check the BIOS settings for UEFI and UUID. Leifison says you should, Linux should work fine on it. Sure, Linux could work fine on just about any old piece of junk. Let's see, Mike Cardum says, negative ghostwriter. The pattern is full. Glenn's Music said we should go back to the fly swatter idea. Andy wants to know if I've tried the special tool designed for this motherboard. It's called a hammer. Mark Gossman suggests an RMA. Can you imagine an RMA with AliExpress? Jim says, don't bet on Linux working on this. If the hardware has issues, Linux isn't going to work any better. Mark suggests I pour water on the CPU. Totally do that. Planet Cryo suggests I send it to somebody you hate.
Aww.
What's your address? No, I kid. I know your address already. What else? Brian Whitley said it's a great paperweight, Carrie. I'm not sure it would do that well. Probably cause tearing. Okay, well, this has been an interesting result. No signal, it says. Let's go one more time here with the USB drive. Let's go in here. Okay, go like that. Let's turn this back on. There it goes. Is it gonna wake up this time? Wakey, wakey. This is a dead motherboard. I bought this motherboard not half an hour ago, and you told me it wouldn't boot because it was resting. Well, the only reason I'd found the motherboard was even staying in the case was it'd been nailed there. Well, if I hadn't nailed it there, it would have gone whoosh right through your case. This board wouldn't go whoosh if we put 1,000 volts into it. It's a dead motherboard. No, it's resting. Beautiful RGB. Look, mate, I don't care about the beautiful RGB. This is a deceased motherboard. It has moved on. It has perished. It has gone on to the other realm. It is no longer on this plane. No, it's resting. Oh, is it? Well, then should we wake it? Wakey, wakey. No, nothing. Nothing. This motherboard is no more. It has ceased to be. Thanks for the participation, Joe. It was pining for the fjords. It's a Norwegian blue, beautiful plumage. Look, it's not about the plumage. All right, come on now. Loke wants to know if I've tried turning it off and back on again. Have I? This is an X motherboard. Joe's having fun. Joe in the chat room. This thing won't even turn on anymore. What have I done? What have I done? Sometimes you just gotta pull the power. Let's try this. Okay. Just gonna give it a minute. Gary Tatum wants to know if I've tried turning it off and leaving it that way. That's next. Very soon. Very soon. It's 4 seconds every time. Don't mind me, I'm just slowly losing my mind. What's left of it. All right, it's got a post screen this time, so. You could be right, the motherboard manufacturer might be misspelled. Instead of ERYNG, it could be CRYNG. That would be truth in advertising, so probably not. Let me just try one more. One more futile attempt at the inevitable. There may be something in the BIOS, but there's a lot of settings in there, and I don't want to go in there because we'll be here another 2 hours, and I have other things to do today. I don't think I want on my gravestone how much time I spent on this, but it's clearly not in UEFI mode with those 3 partitions. Something has changed. So I think what I want to do, you know what? Let me go. Is it going to let me reboot? It's not going to let me. It seems to not be booting to the UEFI partition on the USB drive. It's as though the boot order has become changed. And I think this board needs to have UEFI mode if I'm not mistaken. I think it requires it. They did say something about that in the product listing. Turn this off. Wait a second here. Do we need to check TPM? No, we don't have to check TPM. Windows 11 doesn't yet require it. It will eventually, but it won't prevent installation, and it certainly wouldn't cause a crash. So no, that would just be a complete waste of your time. But things like that, when you're just guessing and you're poking around at stuff, is well and good when you've got all day with nothing else to do. I have 10 minutes to wrap this up, so I'm not going to even bother with things I know make no difference. That's not to say they've configured the BIOS correctly. However, I won't go down that path today, and likely will never go down that path because it's just simply not a requirement. It's not an enforced requirement at this time. It just amuses me. Watch, I can push this button and then wait 4 seconds, wait for it, and it's on. Wow, isn't technology amazing? Can you imagine what we could do with this? We could turn on lights, flip a switch, wait 4 seconds, and the lights will come on in the room. This is a conversation I imagine they had in 1892, or whenever I guess it was probably after that. Sometime in the early 1900s, whenever Thomas Edison wired up J.P. Morgan's house for D.C. to have the very first house in the United States with electric lighting throughout the whole house. You just have to be J.P. Morgan and know Thomas Edison. It's not like rich people get any benefit back then. It's not like it is today where the rich people get benefit. Wait a minute. Hey! He says, M. Cochran said, I'm so fast I can switch the light switch on and be in bed before the light comes on. Right? Shuts off pretty quick though, so there's that. I just didn't expect it to boot that time. All right, let's take a quick look in here. Full screen. Thank you. What's our boot option set to? It says UEFI. So why isn't it configuring as UEFI? I know. I've got 8 minutes. I'm using all 8 minutes. Nope. don't really see anything to change. It shows we're on XMP2, but I don't know where that's selected from. Where is it pulling XMP2? That's the default profile. Whoa, wait a minute. What's custom? $2132. We should be on XMP1. That's where we should be. Okay, did you get all that? 4 of you went, yep, and the rest of you went, I have no idea what he just did. Don't worry, just pretend like you do. Fake it till you make it, it'll be fine. CSM was turned on in the BIOS, was it? Well, that'll definitely prevent us from having those 4 partitions. I'd have to go back in there and look. Mark Gosson says he bets 1 penny that it's going to work. Bob suggests it needs a graphics card. I don't think it does. I mean, we've been booting into Windows without a graphics card. And I don't think a graphics card is going to solve our post issues at PowerUp. I think we're putting the cart before the horse on that one, folks. Loke says I can send it to him and he can try and make it work. It would probably be cheaper for you to buy it from AliExpress than for me to mail it to you, unfortunately. Jason Wyrick says, I'll buy that board. I'll sell it to you. It needs another motherboard. Yeah, I think Gary's right there. I have 2 minutes. This is it. This is it, folks. What's it going to be? This is all or nothing.
You're out of time.
Go big or go home.
You're out of time.
Just about. It's taken its time. I mean, it's taken a long time.
Part 2.
I think there will have to be a part 2. I can work on this offline where it's very, very tedious and repetitious for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Then I can make a shorter video showing you what I've learned, or explaining that there was nothing I learned, that made no progress at all, which is possible. Let it go. Well, I definitely want to give it a chance to redeem itself. Looks like it's doing a reboot here, so we'll see what happens if it comes up and asks for a username. M. Cochran says it's like a roulette wheel. Yeah, a Russian roulette wheel. This isn't looking good. Not looking good. Well, I think we've got some configuration in the BIOS at stake, but the default setting should be that it just works. I don't believe this is a graphics card issue. Anything's possible. It seems very unlikely to me. We certainly installed Windows 10 without a problem. We did have some issues with the update, and I feel like that was more related to RAM. However, I really don't know. I mean, it's anyone's guess. You're likely not going to see any reasonable or helpful support from the manufacturer. But I just want to see if it's going to go into a repair mode. With that, it does look like it's going into repair mode. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for this special Saturday broadcast. I hope you all who celebrate Easter have a good, happy Easter with your family and friends. And yeah, I think that I will apply self-abuse when I have time to play with this some more. And let this be a warning to you. I hope that what you have gleaned from this video is that when you're shopping online at places, especially foreign places where it's not your country of origin that you're shipping from, the customer support you're going to get with regards to returns, just overall and in general, is it not going to be as strong or as useful or as quick as something in your local country. So I wanted to buy this because, one, it's weird. It's weird they put a laptop CPU on a desktop motherboard taking desktop RAM. It's also weird that the CPU doesn't identify with a specific model number. That's suspicious by itself. Further, it's suspicious it's using a 7-year-old CPU socket, heatsink socket, which is bizarre. It's very, very inexpensive, or it's very, very expensive. Depends on how you want to look at it. Like if you look at this and go, look at the money I'm saving for what I'm getting for the money, then potentially you're right if you can make it work, which may be a massive investment of your time. But if your time is worth nothing, at the very least, it kept you busy with something to do to distract your mind from the boredom of everyday living, assuming that's how you live your life. Or it could be very, very expensive in that you spent $150 on nothing. Now, if you've got $150 to just throw away and you don't mind that, have at it. But if what you're trying to do is save some money and have a machine that's reliable, that's just as good as a $300 computer for half the price, oh, I think you're going to be in for a very, very sad disappointment. So now you know and choose accordingly. But no matter what the outcome, you can't say it surprised you, right? One way or the other, you know what to expect now. Choose accordingly. If you decide to get one of these and play with it, please let us know your experience. I'd love to hear from you. I'd also like to hear from your psychologist. And if you don't have one, I can recommend one. Thank you for all the super chat contributions. Thank you to all my members who make this very video is only possible because of the members. So when you see those names with the gold badges, those are the ones to thank for whatever this is. It's because of them. I just wanted to quickly look at, I don't have everybody's super chat, it looks like. So Planet Cryos, Winston, Lou, TrainBuff26, Mike Cardone. Thanks, you guys, for your support in the super chat. And thanks to my friends in blue for keeping it civil in the chat. I didn't see any problem. If there were problems in the chat, I didn't see them, which is, I'm good with that. And if you're new here, we hope you'll come back and hang around and say hello and participate in our live chat room, because after all, this is not television, this is YouTube. And the whole point of it is to interact with each other. Just be respectful, be friendly, be kind. Nothing else matters. Your age, your religion, your gender, all of those things have jerks. We don't want the jerks. We want everybody else. You don't have to prove how smart you are. You don't have to challenge people. Prove how nice you can be. Prove how understanding and compassionate and supportive you can be. That's what this community is made of. And all those folks you see in blue have all demonstrated that for, in many cases, years. And we have so much more room to grow. There's many more kind and supportive people out there who would be such a value added to this community. We hope that you will continue to come back and continue to participate and become a blue member, which is just done automatically. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just done when I start to recognize your name and that you're friendly and you participate. If you're just a watcher, if you're a lurker and you don't participate in the chat, you're missing out on half of the value of these shows, in my opinion. So anyway, thanks again. I will see you all. Well, I will see the members on Monday. We do members only videos Monday, every Monday at 1 o'clock. And those usually involve some stuff I don't want to talk about publicly. And we'll let them know what's going on that week or what I'm planning on doing that week. And it's just a small way of saying thank you to the members. So there's members, and then there's moderators, and there's subscribers, and then there's lurkers. So in that order. And I like to do little things extra now and again for the members, because it's because of them this specific video exists. Without them, I would not have done this. I wouldn't have even gone down this road. And I hope you found it of some value educationally and entertaining, edutaining. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Camera Girl for the thumbnail and the close-up camera work. I'll see you all. I'll see you at the members on Monday, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next live video in the chat room. Until then, safe, happy holiday weekend. Happy Passover, happy Easter, happy Sunday. Bye for now.